So what is project management? Let's start by defining what projects are. So projects, they're essentially used to bring about change. They involve a significant amount of investment, usually time, effort, and money. Individuals and companies aim to manage projects to bring about outputs and outcomes. So a project is usually temporary. It means that it has a beginning and it has an end. Think about it. In as much as we love parties, no one would like to go to a wedding that lasts up to a year. Even the guests will get fed up because they've got things to do, right? So projects are usually temporary. You know, if you're ever in a situation where somebody has told you that this is a project and it's going on forever, then it's no longer a project. It has become part of their business as usual. A project would usually have a defined scope. Scope refers to the combined objectives and requirements needed to complete a project. So in other words, when we run a project, we have to be careful that we stick to our scope. So going back to our example of having a wedding, we're organizing this wedding day for the couple. We don't want to, at some point, introduce a birthday for a 5-year-old. That's not the original intention. So the scope of the project is to provide a wedding day for the couple. It's about making sure that that day is memorable for them, and that's it. That's the scope. So it's important that there's an agreement around what the project team should deliver, and it's important to have that written down somewhere. The scope of work is what we usually call it, would list out what the project would deliver, and sometimes that scope of work is called deliverables, outputs, and outcomes. So a project should also have something called acceptance criteria. Here we're talking about an agreement around what the beneficiaries of this project will accept as done. So for instance, if you're a wedding planner and your client asks you if they ask you to organize their wedding day, they may have told you that they would like the theme to be white and gold. If you decide for whatever reason that it's actually going to be a red and blue theme, then you and your client are going to have issues. So it is important that for any project we have something called acceptance criteria. And when we're still on the matter of defining what a project is, time, money, and effort, these are all the resources that go into delivering a successful project. When a couple spend thousands of their money on a wedding day, they want it to be almost perfect, bearing in mind the time and the effort and what the day signifies for them. There's a significant amount of investment going in there. So that essentially are the key ingredients of a project. And so how is project management used? So I mentioned earlier that projects bring about change. So the morning of their wedding, these two single individuals, they arrive for their ceremonies and celebrations. And after all of that, hopefully they will leave as a couple. That's a huge change. So that project, that wedding day, has brought about that change. If we look at something from the corporate world, take a global organization, for instance. They have so many branches across the world, but they want to change the branding. So basically what they're going to have to do is to have what we will call a program of works, where they will simultaneously be having marketing activity, sales activity, design activity, all of these things simultaneously going around in order to bring about that change. So projects deliver change. Project management is also used to develop and deliver products. The product could be anything really. Could be anything from a bridge to a software application. A digital marketing agency could refer to a new marketing campaign as a project. The more complex the the project or the product, the more applicable project management will be to deliver that end result. Another thing that project management does is it brings about business transformation. So a business transformation occurs when a business decides, or an organization decides, to do a total revamp of their systems, their processes, the way their people work. Those revamps will also mean that jobs will be affected. Some jobs might even disappear altogether. So how do we bring about this change? We use project management as a vehicle. And to be specific, when it comes to people, we use something called change management. Another example of how project management is used is to bring about new system implementations. This involves the installing of new software, the updating of an existing system, or the conversion to a different product into information services. So these are all different examples of how project management is used. And who finds it useful? The people that find it useful are project professionals like you and I. Then when it comes to the type of activity that we're talking about, when we're talking about a wedding day, for instance, it's not like any other day. There needs to be attention to detail to a certain extent. And when we're talking about an organization revamping the entirety of their operations, that's a significant event as well. A lot of time and money and effort is going to go into it, and it's going to impact a whole lot of people. So the people who find project management useful are professionals like you and I, organizations that really want to bring about significant change, and various other stakeholders that also have a stake in this activity that's about to happen. All of us, we find project management very useful.